Welcome back to Trucks and Junk. Today we're going to be stepping things back just a little bit and I'm going to show you how to repair some minor damages to a plastic bumper. Just a touch. Don't burn your car down now. Just a touch of heat. Okay, so now what we have here is we got some minor scrapes right here. Some major scrapes right here. Like it's already went almost all the way through the bumper there. And then we got these pieces are hanging down. They busted the reflector and it's pulled away from the body over here. So I'm going to show you how to fix each one of these things step by step. Let's get it done. All right, so first thing we're going to start with is the easier step. So we really have to get this thing mounted back to the car. So the way these work is there's some little pop pieces on this bumper, and there's a big plastic piece inside here that pinches that pop piece between that plastic piece and the metal of the car. So what you have to do is you have to start from the top where it's out. So it's out underneath the light here. So you're going to start from the top and you're going to pick up and you're going to push in. Pick up, push in. Pick up, push in. And you're going to do that all the way down the car. Just like that. So, see, now it's completely connected like it's supposed to be. And now there's two screws down here. Well, plastic rivets nowadays, but I'm going to replace it with a metal screw. But there's a hole down here that connects the bottom of this to the body. And it broke off as well. So I'm going to have to replace that with a metal screw. And then this piece here is the exact same way. You just pick up and push in. And then they pop themselves back into the car. So that's the easiest step. So if you guys get into back into a dumpster or something and it pops this out, you could actually do this in the parking lot without having to worry about the wind catching this and ripping your whole bumper off your car. Okay, so now we're going to do this bottom piece the same way. Let's lay down here. Alright, so this one here, yeah, okay, so there's a screw back here on this one. I'll have to take the screw out and then work in here, because that's why this one ain't wanting to pop in, because that one screw in the way here, which I think is the same screw that holds in the reflector. So we'll take that screw out now. These little short screwdrivers, they're the bomb for this kind of stuff. You know, you don't really have room for your big fat arms in here. Okay, so we've removed that screw, and I'm sure there's another one up in there that I'm gonna have to get to as well to get the other side of the reflector out. So we'll just twist this down here. Oh, yeah, we'll have to pop that back in again. Sometimes you have to destroy it more to fix it, unfortunately. Sometimes the struggles of a mechanic, you know. At least now I know I need to put the reflector in before I repair this part of the bumper. So, otherwise, it'd be kind of hard to get to this screw. That's for sure. Alright, so there's the old reflector. What's left of it anyway. Let me grab the new one, and then we'll put that in, and then we'll pop this back up. Alright guys, sorry about that. I guess I forgot to hit record. So what I've got going on here is I was repairing this bottom part of the bumper, but then I realized that I need to put the reflector in before I bring this back up. And then I also realized that I need to fix these scratches on this before I put the reflector in. So what happened is I was sanding down the higher end of the scratches with this 80 grit sandpaper real lightly. Like you just barely touch it, guys. You don't want to put a whole lot of pressure here. You just want to bring down the heavy part of the scratches on this just real lightly with 80 grit sandpaper is what I'm using first, just to get the heavier part of the scratches off. And then I'm going to follow it up with 220 grit to bring those scratches in even lighter, just like so. Just real light pressure, guys. You don't want to use a whole lot of pressure here because it's just plastic that you're messing with. It's not great stuff, guys, you know. So basically, you just get these major scratches out of here, off of this. And then once you've got this pretty much usable in a lot better shape, you know, you're going to follow it up with just a touch, not a whole lot, just a touch of heat. Okay, not a whole lot, just a little flame, and you're going to melt the edge of that plastic down. Just a touch. Okay? Not a whole lot, just a touch. Don't burn your car down now. Just a touch of heat, and it makes all them scratches go bye-bye. And they look a whole lot better than it did when you started. But that's just for these old, you know, these little pieces of trim. These just black pieces of trim. Just a touch of heat, and that made all them scratches go bye-bye. Now we're going to put the reflector lens in and get this thing mounted back to the car like it should be. All right, so basically what I got here is a replacement lens or reflector. Ordered it off of eBay, not the dealership. 13 bucks, super cheap. Just a little replacement reflector lens. And what you do is you pop it in there. It's got a little tab on this side and a tab on this side, and then that screw that we were fighting earlier. So you'll pop it straight in there, just like so. So this side clipped, and that side clipped. All right, then you're gonna put this screw back in there. Alright, so now we got the replacement lens back in there. And then like I said, guys, you basically start from where it's not connected anymore and work your way back towards the big open gap. Picking up and pushing in. Same concept here, guys. And then you'll put that screw back in down here that I had to lay down to get to. So guess what I get to do again? Lay down to get to it. Alright. Get in here. This one's going to be a little harder now because I can't really pull this out to get to it. Okay. Now, got that popped in. All right. So now we got all that popped in. Now we need to put these screws in that I was talking about earlier on the bottom of this. And then that will all be held like it should be. So, all right, I get those in. So now just to follow up, now that we put the screws down there, so this is what we've got so far. We got the reflector in. We got all this plastic put back up where it's supposed to be, mounted like it's supposed to be. The bumper line's mounted on the car like it's supposed to be. And that's what this is what it'll look like with the screws underneath. So you got a screw here and a screw here. So, but as you can tell, it's already 100 times better than it was when it came in. So now she can go down the road without worrying about her bumper flying off. And that's without doing any body work, guys, yet. That's just sanding that down a little bit, creating a little bit of heat there to make it look good. And that's no paint, no body work yet. So that's stuff you can definitely do at home by yourself with no worries. So now we're going to work on these scratches and stuff. Okay, so now for this bad scratch right here, as you can tell, this thing is horrible. It's pretty much gone all the way through. And you got stuff coming off of it like it was a hard scratch. You know, it's going to be real hard to repair. So I'm going to walk you through what I'm going to do to repair this. Okay, guys, disclaimer, I'm not endorsing this product at all. The only reason I'm using this product is so I can show you guys at home how easy it is to do this repair. But what I'm going to be using to do this repair is the Bondo bumper repair kit that you can buy at Walmart. So it's easily accessible for all of you. And what it comes with is 2 packets of automotive adhesion, some screening for larger holes and repairs, and 2 sets of the mix. So basically this is exact mix stuff, so you ain't got to worry about having proper ratios of Bondo and stuff. It's 1 catalyst and 1 hardener, and you just squeeze them out and then mix it up on the board. And then it comes with 2 pieces of 320 sandpaper, 2 pieces of 180 sandpaper, and 2 pieces of 80 grit sandpaper, and the spatula to be able to put it all on. So basically with this kit, you can do little minor scratches and holes at home, and I'm going to show you how. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is clean the area that you're going to be working. So what I'm going to use is just paper towels and alcohol. No special stuff needed here, guys. Just paper towels and alcohol will do just fine to clean the grease and the grime off of this bumper. So I'm just going to clean this area up real good. All right, look at all that. That's how dirty that bumper was. Even though it looked clean, that's how dirty that bumper was. You don't want that stuff in your Bondo or in your paint, guys. Now that the alcohol has dried, the next step is you're going to want to tape off anything you don't want this product to touch. So if you're near a tail light or near this trim that I'm working next to, or anything in that nature, you're going to want to tape that off. Because number one, you're going to be sanding, so you don't want to mess up that other stuff with your sandpaper when you're sanding. And number two, this Bondo will stick to everything, guys. Like, the only way to get it off is to sand it off. So if you don't want to mess up your trim and you don't want to mess up your lights, then I suggest you definitely tape it off at this step. Which you're going to have to tape it off to paint it anyway, so you might as well just go ahead and tape it off. That way you don't mess nothing up. So I'll be back once I get this all taped up, and we'll go from there. All right, now that we've got that taped up, now your next step is if you have these big, bulky pieces of plastic from a long scrape or whatever at the end, just go ahead and use a razor blade and cut them off. Because you're not going to be able to melt them back in place. So you might as well just cut them out of the way, get them out of your way, and just cut them off. Right here, rock it back and forth, do whatever. And just get rid of those big, bulky pieces of plastic. And then once you've done that, you're going to start with your 80 grit. Just like we did with the black plastic piece at the bottom. You're going to put your 80 grit on your sanding block. And I'm just using a cheap square sanding block, guys. It's not even anything special. And you're just going to lightly, since it's plastic, just like the bottom piece, you're going to lightly just sand it. And I'm going to start with the little scratches here, just to get the bulk off of it. Now, once you guys done this, guys, at this point, you will have to paint it. You know, which, I mean, once you've actually gotten into the damage, you don't have to paint it. And I'm going to show you, when the paint comes in, how to do that as well. At home, without special equipment, and it still color match the car and be proper. So now that you've gotten the bulk off your light scratches, it should look about like that. Okay? And then you're going to go down here to this hard scratch down here. You're going to do the same. Okay. And you're listening for that nice smooth sound. Okay? You're not wanting that rough sound. You want a nice smooth sound. See the difference? You hear that sound? Now hear that sound? You want to get rid of that sound. That's when you know. You know? When it's making that noise, that means it's working. Okay? That's what that noise means. It's working. It's working, that sound. You want to work at different angles too, guys. You don't want to just keep doing the same angle over and over. You can work different angles here. See, it's starting to sound about the same now. I mean, all that high, jagged stuff is now gone. But like I said, it's very thin right there. Just like I said, there's some little holes in it already from the damage and stuff like that. So, but that's okay. We got stuff to fix that. So you want to do all your heavy sanding with that 80 grit. So you want to get all that bulk knocked down with the 80. And this is no spot to cheap out on, guys. Like, it doesn't cost anything but a piece of paper. And these steps is what matters when you go to paint this, on how well this looks when it's done. Okay, guys, now for this step, you're definitely going to want to wear gloves because you don't want this stuff on your hands. But what you've got here is, like I said, you have the bumper filler and then a thing of bumper hardener. And these are exact mix. So what you want to do is you want to mix them up inside the packet first, just so you can make sure everything that's for that ingredient is mixed together before you put it out here on your thing. And what I'm using for the spreader is just an old tote lid, but just make sure it's clean, guys. Wipe it down with alcohol and stuff as well. That way you're not mixing contaminations into your mix. But what you'll do is you'll mix it up real good inside the packet, and then you'll just rip open the packet. Make sure you got everything that's in that packet out of it. So you'll just use the spatula and just kind of put it into the thing there. And just squeeze it on out of there. And that gives you what's in that packet. Put your s'more in there, so you'll probably do it twice then. And then you'll do the same thing with the hardener. You'll open it up and you'll squeeze it out. And I'll get another spatula for the hardener. That way I ain't already hardening it. And then you'll just squeeze this packet out as well. Alright, so now we have the Bondo and the hardener both on the tray here. So what we'll do now is we'll pick a spatula, any spatula. Alright, and that's why I like using these tote lids, because you have that edge to be able to work with there. Pretty cool. And then you'll mix these two catalysts together. So you have the hardener and the Bondo mixed together here. And this stuff is very very hard to work with when it's cold. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's why a lot of body work happens in the spring and in the fall. And when it's warm outside, I probably should have heated this stuff up before I started messing with it, honestly, because it flows so much easier when it's warm. But unfortunately, I'm doing with what I got. It's a cold winter time, so I know I'm in a t-shirt and don't really reflect the cold too well. But you'll want to mix this up until you have a nice uniform collar here, guys. And the more you work it, the warmer it gets. So it starts to get a little easier to work, you know. Because when it mixes together, it warms up. Because that's the chemical reaction of it. You'll want that nice uniform color. You don't want to see gray spots. You don't want to see white spots in it. You just want a nice uniform color to your mix. Just like that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to get you guys set up so you can see what I do down here. And then you'll apply it generously to the spot. Just like so. And then you'll scrape it off a little bit. Because remember, the more you have on here, the more you're going to be stuck sanding it off. So just remember that, guys. Because you're going to want to sand it to where it's even. And where I had those two little holes in mine, in my bumper, I have to apply it kind of thickly, but I'll probably be stuck doing 2 coats on mine just because of those 2 little pinholes that I had. So I'm going to leave this one at that. Because like I said, guys, the more you put on, the more you're going to have to sand off. So just keep that in mind, guys. Which I'm okay with doing a couple coats on mine. But basically, you fill in them little scratches. And I'll probably just go ahead and do it up here too. Just because, you know. We'll be back when this dries. Okay, so now it's been about an hour to allow this stuff to dry. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lightly sand this down with the 80 grit sandpaper again and try to bring this to a smooth surface and then see if we need to apply a second coat. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to, but we just got to sand it down just to make sure we do. So we'll sand this down with 80 grit sandpaper. Like I said, guys, you can move around, all around. You don't have to work in the same direction. You can tell this stuff is real difficult to sand. It's kind of like a rubbery mix for plastic bumpers. So it's perfect for plastic bumpers, but it makes it really hard to sand. So like I said, the least you put on, the better for this step. Be careful on your edges because you'll cut into the edges with this and create new scratches. Like I said, you don't want that hard edge either. That's why it's looking feathered now. So you see that's real low. See how dark that is right there in gray, and how dark this is because that's back down to the plastic. So I got a few lows. Like this is a low, this is a low, this is a low, but these real dark is highs. So like I said, I need to put another coat on right here. And then probably after the second coat, I'll sand it down to this level again. And then now that I've got a heater in here, it should go a little bit quicker. I had to wait a whole hour for it to dry last time just because of how cold it was in here. So now that the heater's here, I'm going to go ahead and do the second coat. Set this heater up to where it'll dry a lot quicker. So, be right back. Okay, this time I just mixed me up a little small batch because it's just a second coat. But like I said, you don't want to see any white like this on it. You just want it to be a nice even color like this down here. And then I just mixed up a small batch this time. Do the second small coat. I'm not even going to put a whole lot on this time. Just want a little bit just to kind of even out these highs. Just by default. Like I said, the more you put on, the longer it takes to sand them off. And sometimes it's better just to leave well enough alone. Sometimes. Because it can get aggravating sometimes, guys trying to apply this stuff. You're like, man, there's a line in that. Man, there's this. Just keep in mind, it'll all sand off eventually. All right, we're going to leave it at that. See you when that dries. All right, so now we got this coat dried. Now we're going to sand her down again. Just got to do what you got to do to get some heat, you know, unfortunately. But that's why I set that up, just to get some heat on it so it'll dry a little quicker for us. But now, like I said, 80 grit again. We're still on the 80 grit. We haven't stepped down from it. You know, now we're just going to sand this again. Get rid of these highs and these lows. Yeah. Like I said, you want to focus mainly on your highs and your lows, and then you want to focus on the edges so when you blend, you don't have that, when you paint this, you don't have that hard edge showing. So you really want them faded out real good. Instead, you don't have, you want to go in all directions here as well. You don't want to stay in the same direction, because when you stay in the same direction, you just have straight line scratches. Is all you have, which is basically what you're getting rid of, is the straight line scratches. So if you stay, just keep going like this the entire time, you're just going to have scratches in that direction. So it's best just to kind of up sand, down sand, right sand, you know, in all directions here. That way you don't have just straight scratches across your bumper or across your whatever panel you're doing. These steps apply, except for the type of Bondo we're using. All these steps apply to your trunk, to your side panel, to wherever you have a defect on your car, wherever you have a scratch on your car. These same steps apply to those as it does this. You guys saw how bad this was, this section right here. Just the fact that I turned it from that to this is, you know, probably good enough for her, you know, but it's not good enough for me. That's the difference. All right, so I'm comfortable with the 80 grit sanding that I've done now. That feels good and smooth now. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and step it on down to the next sandpaper, and we're going to do that sanding. So the next one was 180. So the higher the number, or sorry, the lower the number, the more grit you have. The higher the number, the softer the grit you have. So that's why we started with 80, then we're going to 180. And then the final step will be 320, which is really smooth. And they even make them even softer than that, guys. But we're talking about body work here, you know, not a piece of glass. So now that we've done that, now we're going to go ahead and sand it again with this softer grit. And then the scratches will be smaller. Because the smaller the scratches are, guys, the better. And that's how that works. You want good small scratches for your paint. Like I said, the more work you spend here, the less work you're going to spend sanding down your paint, guys. For that nice, silky, smooth, glassy finish when you use your paint. You're literally just setting this up for your paint, guys. That's all you're doing. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now that we've done that, now we're going to step it down again to the 320 grit. The same rule applies here, guys. Up, down, cross hatchet. And this sandpaper is not going to cut, guys. So, like, if you found a flaw here, you know, go back to your 80 and then do the steps again, because this is so fine, it's not going to cut. The only thing this is doing is getting rid of the deep scratches. So at this point, you should not feel anything but just a rough texture. You shouldn't feel any bumps or divots or anything in that nature. Because if you do, you need to start over. Because if you feel it, you'll see it. All right. Okay, now I'm going to bring you guys in and show you what I've got now. As you guys saw what I started with, you had little scratches here and some big gouges here. And now we just have a flat bumper surface ready for paint. And then, like I said, the reflector's fixed. That's all fixed. All this stuff is put back up like it's supposed to be. So that's where we're at right now. Okay, guys, that's it for today's video. So now at this point, this thing is ready for primer and paint. So I do plan on painting this, but with the weather and the time of the day and all of that, it's not going to happen on this video. It's probably going to be next weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and give this back to her to drive, since it's able to be driven. It's not anything wrong with it. So she's going to go ahead and drive this through the week. Next weekend, we're going to prime this and paint this. But now at this point, if you guys are scared of painting it, even though I'm going to show you how, a lot of people don't like to worry with it, because getting the color matched and everything like that, you could literally take this to any body shop now and say, hey, I just need my bumper painted. Because most of the labor in a body shop is doing the repair, replacing the bumper, or sanding down and doing all that stuff. You've already done all that work. All they have to do is spray it now. And they might do a little bit more sand work to it, you know, say you didn't do it good enough or whatever. But at this point, it can just be sprayed. And I know for a fact my local body shop would only charge me $200 to spray this bumper with OE paint. So I'm in it. I've spent $50 in materials, and that's with the lens. Okay, and then if they even charge me $400 to spray this bumper, which is outrageous, depending on where you live. I mean, they might charge that much in something like California or something, but you're only in at $450. And the claims adjuster on this told her that it estimated at $2,500 to fix this damage. So $450, $2,500. I think I'm gonna try the $450 before I'd spend $2,500. That's just me personally, and that's what I was trying to show you guys. That's all it takes to repair these minor bumps on these bumpers. You know, it's time consuming because of the waiting for stuff to dry before you can sand. But as far as the actual work labor of it, it's not that hard to do. So God bless you all. I will see you on the next one, and have a nice day.
love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like